Hello and welcome to my slideshow on theta roles and theta grids. This is Casey Skoog, and let's get started. Let's begin with explaining what a theta role is. What is a theta role? Well, it's a bundle of thematic relations for a particular argument. Let me elaborate on that. What I mean by a bundle is that there can be more than one thematic relation for a theta role, but there is only one theta role. That is, one theta role for an argument. The theta criterion is strict. It states that each argument is assigned one and only one theta role, and each theta role is assigned one and only one argument, and these conditions must be met for this constraint to function. So how do we meet these constraints? Well, there is this filter that is visually represented by a table-looking thing called a theta grid, which helps us illustrate how these constraints work. The theta grid, which illustrates how we apply the one-to-one argument and theta role relationship, illustrates how the theta criterion filters the words we select from our mental dictionary, aka our lexicon. And this is to produce a grammatical sentence that accounts for selectional restrictions. Here's what a theta grid showing the one-to-one argument theta role relationship with an intransitive sentence looks like. And this, having no object, has only one argument. And here is another, with two arguments from a monotransitive sentence. And finally, we have a grid with the maximum number of arguments, and thus maximum amount of theta roles that can be assigned, which is a ditransitive sentence. Wait, you might ask, how do you put a theta grid together and use it? Well, let's do a walkthrough. First, let's index the arguments. We should know that by our predicate gave that we need 3 arguments. So we should index these as follows: master with I, Dobby with K, and a sock with M. So let's fill in this 3-argument theta grid template. Just as a reminder of the predicate for which we are computing, let's put that at the top left of the corner of the grid. Now, check out the bottom row of the 3 columns. This is where the indices go. So what roles does our predicate gave assign to our 3 arguments? Let's start with the subject argument, which, for the theta grid, is always the external role. So master gave something, which implies an action involving a motion from one entity to another, and specifically, this motion has to do with a change of possession, and that exchange originates with master, who is also a thinking, feeling being initiating the action. Therefore, the bundle of thematic relations in the external theta role can be labeled thus: agent, source, and entered here. Next, we want to clarify the phrase type to which that argument belongs. So we enter DP for determiner phrase here. Next, we have our internal theta roles, which are the arguments other than the subject external theta role, if there are any. The first one would be Dobby, who receives the sock. As the entity with whom the motion action ends and to whom the possession is transferred, the theta role assigned to Dobby, the indirect object determiner phrase, is thus: goal recipient, dp. And the second internal theta role in this grid, which is the direct object undergoing the action, is theme dp. We have just constructed a theta grid, but there are a few more details to discuss. First, notice how the label for the external theta role is underlined. This is to distinguish the subject, or external theta role, from the other arguments, which are the internal theta roles. Next, the dp labels for the arguments refer to the X-bar theory phrase types, and in this example, all of our arguments are determiner phrases. Master gave a sock to Dobby. Notice how the sentence meaning is the same, but its structure, along with the theta grid, look a little different. Now Dobby, who still has the goal recipient theta role, is now a prepositional phrase rather than a determiner phrase argument, and is thus labeled PP. Before moving on to the next constraint, there is another kind of argument that is neither a determiner phrase nor a prepositional phrase, but is clausal, and that takes a proposition theta role.